Someone recently asked me, what is the number one most impactful tool that you have integrated into your life? The answer that came to my mind and that I shared with her surprised her, and it surprised me. And I have been thinking about it since. I think this is the one thing that is missing from most people that are out there trying to hustle, they're trying to manifest, they're trying to improve, they're trying to up-level their life, whatever languaging, buzzwords are going on. This is what I perceive is literally the number one thing that is missing in people's lives as a foundational tool that should come first and foremost. When I first started integrating this tool, I had no idea the impact that it would have over my life, and that I was discovering something that was going to create a distinctive before and after. And as I look at my life, there is very much the before and the after. At the time that I started this process, I was reading a bunch of books about mindset and manifestation and healing work. And I was just beginning to understand little bits of you create your own reality. And when I came across the concept of what you're thinking about, then I started to pay attention to my thoughts. It was like I turned up the volume on the tape that was always playing, and I was absolutely shocked to find that I was speaking so meanly to myself, horrifically meanly. And I really believe 98% of the population is actively doing this all the time, consciously or unconsciously, but we speak to ourselves so harshly. I can't believe you said that. You were so dumb. They don't want to hear that. And everybody thinks you're an idiot. Everybody knows it, whatever. I was so harsh to myself. And if that's the voice that's playing all the time, that's the biggest exposure that you have in your life. There is nothing that you're more regularly ingesting than that voice. And that has such far-reaching ramifications. And if you think that that's not affecting you more than what you're eating and the exercise that you're doing and what time you're getting up, and if you're implementing that morning routine and you're girl bossing it like crazy and you're following everything your mentor has to say, if you are not paying attention to your thoughts, and more specifically, the tool that I put in response to this question was speaking to myself with compassion. Because now I only ever speak to myself with compassion. And it has changed everything for me. When I first started paying attention to my thoughts, they were all over the place, terrible. And over the years, I started to shift. And through the shifting, I ended up getting out of a domestic violent marriage. I ended up cleaning up my victim mindset and seeing so much more how I was directly contributing to my reality and all of these things. And one day, I was driving my kids to school and we were late. Not 5 or 6 minutes late. We were 25 minutes late. The kind of late where you have to park and go inside and talk to the attendance office and sign off that you're late. There can be shame wrapped in it and all of that if you let it. And I was really not doing well. I had just entered a massive health crisis and I didn't realize how long and how deep and how severe that it was. But I was in the beginnings of that sludge and I felt awful all the time. And while we were driving to school, I noticed I was speeding a little bit and I backed off speeding and I caught myself say, "It's okay, sweetheart. You're doing the best you can. You're not that late. It's really not that big of a deal. You haven't felt well. It's all going to be okay." And it was like I had this very loving being tap me on the shoulder and say, "Hey, come check this out. Look at how you're talking to yourself now." And it was in that moment I realized it worked. It worked. And since then, I only ever speak to myself like I would speak to someone that I love. And that has made all the difference. It is literally as though an evil spirit that was constantly with me, speaking to me in my voice, is rooted out of my breast, and I am no longer that person. And now I am free to experience happiness and peace and success and satisfaction and joy all the time. And that does not mean my life is perfect, and it doesn't mean that I'm not sad sometimes, but the meanness, that constant steady stream, is gone. And if I could say something to people to help them in the most impactful way, it would be to pay attention to your thoughts and meet them with loving compassion as you discover what's actually true. work like Byron Katie is amazing at gently, lovingly questioning, is that true, sweetheart? Can you absolutely know that that's true? And also just sitting with it. And the most effective ways, Byron Katie, prayer, just connecting with your great and powerful God, and astrology and human design. These have been the seminal foundational ways that I've been able to free myself of this shame-filled self-talk. And when you really understand how you're divinely created to be, and when you really look at what's actually true, and you have the solidness within you to know that you can handle whatever is true, then you are filled with power, and there is nothing that can take you away from that. And so if you're seeing this, I hope it was helpful. I would love to hear in the comments what landed for you, or other ways that you've experienced this, or if this is true for you, or if you're struggling to be able to know how to implement this. If you don't know me yet, hi, I'm Naomi Fox Reyna, and I am the founder of Light Filled, where we study the light-filled life, and we are God-centered and study astrology and human design and our God-given spiritual gifts. And I would love it if you joined us. We are doing amazing things here. So like, follow, share this with a friend who needs to hear it today. Sending you so much love.